Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to this broadcast of the Prism for School of Small Business, where we discuss and unearth uh, innovative approaches to business solutions. I have on guests that can bring some light and new approaches to business solutions, like the beautiful lady we have today. And who we have is Sabrina Victoria. And Sabrina is an entrepreneur, and this lady has done so much, it's amazing. She brings 2 decades of experience building and co-building multiple seven-figure businesses. I met Sabrina through her Nation platform, where she showcases business owners through engaging podcasts, virtual magazine features, and empowering events. She's a very charismatic lady, awesome speaker, motivator, and she is so passionate about the topic we're going to be speaking on today, which is elevating the plight, elevating the space for women business owners and entrepreneurs. Welcome, Sabrina. Thank you for being here. I hope we're both busy entrepreneurs, so we're just going to dive right in. I was doing some research, Sabrina, and the research tells me that women entrepreneurs who are founders are getting, it just dipped, I believe, to under 3% of funding opportunities, as opposed to over 80% for men. Of course, and I'm talking women founders who are solely women, as opposed to men, solely men. If there's a mix where you have male, female, then the opportunities seem to be better. But where it's only women who are founders, women's teams, the disparity is just ridiculous. Um, what are your thoughts on that? And well, we know what some of the reasons are. It's because whether it's men or society in general, believe women are not as capable as men of running businesses, knowing what they're doing. And in saying that, incidentally, women contribute, I believe the last figures were 2.7 trillion to the US economy. So, I mean, that speaks for itself that women do know what they're doing. I mean, a few of us have broken the glass ceiling. So that's evidence within itself. I would love to hear your thoughts on why do you think that trend is continuing in 2024, where women are doing amazing things?
Yeah. So many different directions we could take this. The very first thing that's coming to my mind is, and this comes from, I'm going to say this is my opinion, but I'm also going to say that this comes from speaking to thousands of women and also speaking to probably hundreds of men in the entrepreneurial space. I feel as if a lot of times when men get into business, they get into business in groups. They get into business with partners. They name drop. They have no problem saying, I got a guy, I have a help, I have partners, I have a team, I have a crew coming with me, which sounds more stable.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I do feel, and this is opinion based, this is solely opinion, that a lot of these men have a female backing that is helping them with a lot of their paperwork, their business plans, the organization behind their business, versus women from who I have spoken to so many times feel as if they have to do it all by themselves. And when you're coming to a point of asking for money or asking for a loan or what have you, there's a difference between I'm all by myself. I have no
Mhm.
crew, I have no team, I have no one helping me, but I'm intellectual. I have a plan versus somebody who's coming with a plethora of people.
Mhm.
I think that's one of the biggest differences that I see so much between men entrepreneurs and female entrepreneurs is the teamwork and the collaboration with men is so
Mhm.
much different and stronger.
Disparity. Yeah. You know, it's interesting that you say that about the support that men have in terms of um, uh, the different areas that traditional business funders feel are essential to the success of business. You have, as you say, they come with so much support and a big, it seems as if what they're offering is bigger because of everything that surrounds it. Um, and there's so much focus on the talent. You know, when you sit in front of a funder or a VC or whoever the funder is, they want to know who's your talent, um, who brings what to the table. Do you have someone in this area or that area or the other area? So that really brings, you know, highlights the point you're making is that when they come to the table, what they offer, and it's not necessarily the correct perception, but traditionally, that's what funders look for. And you're exactly correct. Women come, oftentimes they're single mothers. I know you have that experience. They're, you know, they're unmarried, but they don't have that network that men do. And in addition, I feel that a man, you know, the famous phrase, like a successful man always has a woman behind him. A woman doesn't necessarily, women don't necessarily bring that as well.
Exactly.
So yes, that your observation is on point. I myself didn't look at it from that perspective. I was looking at it more from the talent perspective of men. When they come, they bring, you know, every someone representing each sector of what the business is going to bring. And so the funder becomes more, has a bigger level of comfort in investing their money.
Yeah,
Um,
and I to that point also, and I feel as if women a lot of times come with this big vision of just wanting to help versus men come with a big vision of like logic
mhm.
and numbers, and both powerful, but one of them makes more sense to be giving to financially than the other one.
Mhm. The men come across, as you say, exactly that they're more about we're here to make money for you, whereas women come from it from the perspective I can solve a problem,
Yeah.
and even though that solving that problem translates into making money,
Yeah.
that's not the immediate perception that the funder gets.
Yeah. And I do hear that a lot with female entrepreneurs is this feeling of not feeling comfortable saying that they want to make money. A lot, and I'm not the bank, right? So they could present differently, but when they present to me, it's very much heart centered or heart
Mhm.
first.
Mhm.
You know, I hear a lot of people first, heart first. Um, and it's not about the money, it's about helping. And that's
Mhm.
not something that a bank wants to hear,
It
unfortunately.
doesn't translate well. What are some ways, Sabrina, that you think women can change the narrative? I read this book once, and this was relating solely to women in the workplace, not really business owners or entrepreneurs, but it does have a synergy. Is that maybe women need to invite men um, into their spaces wherever they're meeting. Because and you know this, oftentimes when you go to women's conferences or women's meetings or women's group, there are no men. You know, so what do you think are some ways that we can change the narrative as to what businesses, women's founders bring to the table? Because clearly we're making a contribution to the economy, and clearly women's business ownership is on the rise, but the disparity is still way too wide. What are some ways you think that women themselves can do to close that gap?
Yeah. The two things that I think are the most prevalent and the biggest difference is two words. And a lot of times people get these two words confused. They think it means the same thing, and they're not the same thing at all. But that is community and network.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be around other individuals who think like us and are doing similar things to us, right? As a female entrepreneur, if I'm constantly hanging out with stay-at-home moms, it does nothing for me. I could have a community of friends, but if they're all working 9 to 5s, if they're all have rich husbands, if they all where they don't have to do anything, or they're all stay-at-home moms, there's no conversations. There's no expansion of the mind. There's no digging deep into business topics. Not that there's not any digging deep, there's different conversation. We need to be around other entrepreneurs, male or female, and get into deep conversations about how to run a business. I think that's one of the biggest things. We read a book, we take a course, and then that's it. There's no community that we're actually plugging ourselves into where there's a constant conversation and a constant vibration and energy towards building a business. And I think that's one thing that men do is they plug in. And also even just with their guy friends, a lot of them have passions of owning a business or of doing a business or a side hustle. So even if they do have friends, a lot of times they are talking about growing businesses and doing businesses and making money, right? So I think community is one of the biggest missing components in the world of business, finding other people that enjoy talking about building, vision, expansion, dreaming. And then the second thing is network. And network is you having a conversation with another business owner and exchanging referrals, connections, collaborating in some way where you are leveraging your resources to help one another. If you talk to any guy, you could literally go to any dude who's 30 or older and say, hey, I have a computer problem. He will have a guy. Hey, I have a car problem. He will have a guy. I'm looking for a barber for my 7-year-old little boy. He will have a guy. And that is something that females don't a lot of times do. We're not always networking and collaborating with each other. We'll say, hey, we're having issues with our computer. And they'll say, oh, maybe my husband, right? Oh, my car, maybe my husband, right? So the husbands are the ones that are building community, are building networks, and they're the ones that are actually connecting on the level of money, exchanging money. Now, girls obviously, right? Like, oh, I'm having issues with but the exchanges that they're making are more emotional. They're not money-based. They're not an exchange of goods or services. So I think that really leveling up in those two atmospheres can make a world of difference in, how we're showing up for our businesses and our counterparts and their businesses.
I would say you are spot on there, Sabrina, but I want to take it a step further. you are so right when you say men in terms of a supportive network. It is so much more, it is way more massive than it is for women. I think that's changing a bit, but not enough and not fast enough, I think. I'm going to play devil's advocate here and ask, do you think women, we are our own worst enemy?
100%.
Where when we do have the opportunity or the resources or the network, we're not helping each other enough. Whereas a guy is gonna always help out his guy friend. Do you think that's a legitimate conclusion on my part? Or am I like falling into the old assumption of women that we don't support each other? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think a lot of it comes from trust. So I think as a whole, as society, because men have taken the lead in so many areas of money, we trust men more versus when a woman is coming into her own business and we have a woman who does website design and we have a man who does website design, both equally educated. Society tends to trust the man's capabilities more than the woman's. Therefore, the referrals or the recommendations go to the men over the women. So I think a lot of it has to do with, we have to start to learn to trust each other and trust our own capabilities, because the men are already referring to each other, right? If a man comes and somebody says, hey, I need somebody with my web design, they're going to refer the guy, right? Bros. So who's referring the women? The women have to lean on each other to refer each other. So if we're not referring each other, the man definitely isn't referring each other. That right there cuts everything in half or a third.
Do you think, I was having a conversation with a colleague about the niche most women business owners are in, and you mentioned it earlier, where they tend to gravitate more towards heart-centered, solution-based businesses. But I find it, what are women really doing in terms of are we, his opinion was that for most women, because men are not comfortable doing business with women, that women should be, their market should be mainly, they should target women as their niche more than a general business population perspective. So for example, if you're entering into business and you want to be a coach, look to coach women or female founders or females going into business, rather than maybe going into a niche of, okay, I work with small business or medium-sized business owners, which is the whole population of business owners. Target women because you'll be more successful, because as these women are more receptive, they're more heart-centered, they're more likely and more open to be accepting of a woman, of what a woman business owner has to offer, as opposed to a man who typically will trust, as you say, a man more. They will trust more what they're offering than a woman business owner. You think women should be doing more of that? And speaking from my experience, I actually believe women to be more receptive when I'm presenting to a prospect. It's not 100%, but I find that to be so. What are your thoughts on that?
As far as women being being more perceptive to women coaches?
No. As far as if you want to have a success in your business, it's better if you target women as a niche over just the general business population of men and women.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that? I do that. I mean, I run a community called Her Nation, all female entrepreneurs. And one of the interests, there are half of the community is very much women only. They only sell to women. The women that are in my community, they only sell to women. It's women only, women based, owned by a woman. And then the other half of my community is very much human, all humans. All humans deserve. I can help all humans in all of the areas of which, and almost take offense to, which is hilarious because they're in a women's group, but almost take offense to niching out only women. Because they're human problems, a lot of these things. A lot of these things are human problems. They're not just female problems. Is there a benefit to seeking out one over the other? I believe that the only true benefit for real, in my own opinion, is that you're niche down. So because you're niche down, women will feel more comfortable talking to a woman who specializes with women. I don't think that one or the other for me is different, but I'm going to put a little caveat on that, a little cherry on top. You're asking somebody who worked in a male-dominated arena for 20 plus years. I ran door-to-door sales, recruited white 20 to 30-year-old men, was running 150 of them straight commission door-to-door sales. I mean, there's nothing more masculine than that. So I speak well to men. I speak very direct to men. Men understand me. I know how to talk to them. I know how to get them to listen to me. I know how to guide them and direct them in a way, because that's my whole background. So I don't know if I'm really a fair person to ask that question to.
Yeah. I completely understand. In my personal opinion and in my experience, whenever I hear that narrative about, sell to women because women are easier, like you say, it can be somewhat offensive.
Yeah.
because it goes back to, kind of like saying, well, women are an easy mark, which we are not. Absolutely not. And for me, if you're in a if you're a business owner and your mission, if you say your mission is to provide this, that, whatever it is, as you say, why should it be a particular gender as opposed to a niche? Because you're offering something to humanity in general, not just a gender.
Yeah.
So
I do want to add, because I've been in sales for so long and because I've done face-to-face sales for so long, what you were originally talking about when you first opened up this question regarding women being easier to sell, is that true? Yes. And that's because of the heart-centeredness. We don't know how to say no. We don't have boundaries. We're very codependent. We're people pleasers as a whole. Not all of us, just as a whole. But there are men out there that are also. But in that conversation, that's more of a conversation, whoever said that, that's more of a conversation around sales manipulation, more so than it is around being a business
Being a
person.
business owner, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
it
agree.
kind it's you're like in murky water there as far as like what kind of business are you running here? I remember going door to door sales, and as a woman, I would almost always go with somebody. I very rarely went on my own. It was one of the rules that we had. A woman was always paired up with somebody. Men can go on their own, but a woman was always paired up with somebody, which makes me feel comfortable. But I would almost joke by the handshake. So right away, meeting somebody, eye contact, the demeanor and the handshake, I would almost like have like a secret joke between my partner and I on whether or not I was going to make the sale within 3 seconds of meeting that person, because I could feel the vibration of weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what that person is talking about. But men and women have that same caliber, that same vibration that you can feel. And women do have it more often.
More often, yeah. I have that sense too. It's interesting that you bring that up. It's really the energy that
Yeah.
they project towards you. You can immediately tell whether this is going to be this is going to be great or it's going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And there's tricks with that. I mean, even if you want to take it to a bigger level, men and women selling to each other. So I would almost always be paired with a man, and we would feed off. So if a woman answered, he would pitch. And if a man answered, I would pitch. So
Mhm.
that's their working off of sexuality.
Yeah.
So, it's a whole dynamic of, the humans and how we work and how we are, when it comes to sales. I mean, it's very in depth.
Yeah, I think to go back to the beginning when we started about the disparity between the acceptance of men and women in business, I believe that women have everything. What
Yes.
in my opinion, what we don't have is what you pointed out at the beginning, is the presentation, it's the packaging of what we bring that's not impactful enough. That's one part of it. It's not the whole part of it, but that's one part of it where we're not coming into the room saying, I'm who you're looking for. I solve this problem, and you need to back me. We more often than not, women don't come into the room um, with that energy, with that presence, with more of a demanding persona.
Yeah.
Uh, Rather we go in hat in hand, oh, I'm going to solve this problem. This is what you invest in me, rather than saying you need to invest in me.
Yeah.
So I think one approach could be to change the packaging, the presentation, the appearance. And I'm not talking about part of it is physical, but it's more persona and energy and coming from a position of strength.
I love that you're saying this. I just had this conversation with my fiance a day or two ago, and we were talking about the elections, and I'm not going to get into it, but I was basically talking about how some individuals have absolutely no problem saying, vote for me, versus other individuals that say, vote. There's a
Mhm.
total difference in the
Different, yeah.
presentation when you're allowing the warmth and the humbleness to take
Mhm.
place versus I'm the one. It's
Mhm.
me. And then we're wondering why the vote is skewed at times throughout the last few years. And I do believe that that is a lot of it. And that's the same with us. Like, exactly what you said. Are we going up saying, hey, invest in me, purchase my product. My product is the best. I will do a good job for you, versus saying, I mean, you need somebody to do a website design. I do website designs, but a lot of people do website designs. So you're going to have to pick one. It's
Exactly.
different.
And it's I love that you put it that way. It's amazing how the brain and the psychology of it works. Because if I'm listening to two candidates speak, and one say, he's out there talking, he or she's out there talking about go out and vote, we're gonna make it so that you have the opportunity to vote, we'll take you to the polls, blah, blah, blah. If someone else comes says to me, you need to vote for me because of X, Y, and Z, rather than I just need to go vote. That person that says to me, it has to be me because resonates more with me and sticks more into my subconscious.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it.
And
So-
this is the, as we're closing up here, I know we're closing up. The conundrum is one of them to a woman business owner could sound ego,
yeah.
braggadocious,
And we've got to get over that.
yeah.
Come across as saying it's me, it's me.
However, when you are speaking in those tones, it also at the same time creates a solid foundation, stability, ownership, and confidence, which is what somebody wants to invest in.
Exactly.
And that's what we really have to do. We have to get rid of this mindset of like, oh, ego, and I don't want to look like I'm a know-it-all, and understand that that is what the client wants. The client wants to be able to lean on somebody who is so confident in themselves, their product, their service, that they can invest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the wall that we have to climb and understand. It's for the client. The client needs to feel that in order to invest and give their money to you.
To wrap up, I heard someone say, I think it's someone on LinkedIn that says that client doesn't care about who, when you look at all these profiles, people are constantly talking about who they are, what they know, blah, blah, blah. Client wants to know what you're going to do for them.
Yeah.
What are you going to solve?
Yeah.
How are you going to take my pain away? That's what the client cares about. They don't care that you have a PhD or whatever behind your name. They want to know how you're going to use that to help them. And you're right. You can't go in there feeling as if you're being egotistical or full of yourself. You have to be if in the business realm if you're going to be successful.
100.
So I can't tell you how this has been fantastic. And we could go on for a lot longer, but I know we're really busy. Maybe we'll have a part 2 about strategies to, really practical strategies that women can employ to make to flip the switch and to really change the narrative about the strengths and value that women bring to the human business component. So thank you so much, Sabrina, for being here. Please tell my audience and the podcast and YouTube audience where they can find you. You're fantastic. How they can connect with you. What if you have an offer or you want to invite the audience to join any of your platforms? The floor is open for you.
Yeah, so I make it super easy for all of my individuals. I have a website. The website is sabrinavictoria.com. My name, sabrinavictoria.com. All of my social media, I'm predominantly on Facebook and LinkedIn the most. I do also hang out on Insta. Those are all there on that website. And then also my community. So I run a female community for female entrepreneurs. We do podcasting panels, events. I run masterminds, networking, business growth workshops to get women business owners moving in a positive direction for their entrepreneurial journey. It's absolutely gorgeous watching these women grow and really step into their power. And that's the mission we have, is to, get these women's voices heard, have them step into you know, who
Their
they're supposed to
power,
be.
yeah.
Yeah, who they're supposed to be, and with no holds bar, you know.
Awesome. Thank you again, Sabrina, for being here. I will put all your information in the show notes and the comments on my platforms. Thank you again so much for being here. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. To my audience, thank you for being here. If you're new to this platform, please give this fabulous conversation a like. Switch your notifications on. We always have these fantastic conversations so that you can get notified that these conversations are coming. Thank you again for your support. And until I see you again, be well.